Hey there guys, Raymond here, also known as Rayvision, and welcome back to another Forza Horizon 3 Top 10 list. Now, this week we're going to be counting down the top 10 fastest cars around the Goliath circuit in Forza Horizon 3. Now, before we get started, just want to cover a few things. First off, next week's top 10 list will be the top 10 things to look forward to in Need for Speed Payback. So if you have some new features or recommendations from the game that you like, leave those in the comments down below as well. Be aware that on this list, not everything is meant to be taken with seriousness. And by that, I mean take everything with a grain of salt. Every car that is on this list deserves to be on this list, but depending on the driver and the skill, positions can differ. As well, I want to give a huge shout out to Andy B3E on the Forza forums, who also took the time to test a bunch of different cars, which helped me a lot in the testing of my cars. I've tested all these cars. I tested about 20 cars, which took forever to drive around the Goliath, and here are the top 10. So before we even get into the top 10, for the first time ever, we have an honorable mentions section, and in this honorable mentions, we're going to find the Porsche 918. We're going to find the Hennessy Venom GT. We're going to find the Lamborghini Aventador LP700, the LaFerrari, the Pagani Huayra, the Ferrari FXXK, Ariel Adam V8 500. Basically, these are all incredible cars, and this may be due to my lack of driving skills. I feel like anyone could get slightly different results, obviously much better times than I ever got, but these are all cars that should be on this list, give or take the order, but based on the times I got and the times posted on the forum by Andy, this is the order of the list. Now at number 10, we have the Koenigsegg Agera. Now, let's just clear up a few things. I drove all of these cars around the Goliaths, and I've sort of gone a feel for them, and I'm going to give you my input on why I think these cars placed where they were. Now, the Agera and the Koenigsegg 1-to-1 are very similar, and gosh, surprise, the 1-to-1 will be on this list. Sorry for the spoilers. The Agera is higher up on this list, one, because it's older, but even though it has more torque and more power, it's heavier, and in the high-speed corners, it really feels it. The Koenigsegg 1-to-1, when you take it into those high-speed corners, it's super easy to handle. This one has a tendency to oversteer, so sometimes you're going to go into a corner, and then next thing you know, you're in a wall. That being said, it is still an incredible car and most deserving of the number 10 position on this list. Now at number 9, we have the Dodge Viper SRT Edition. Now, just to put things into perspective, first off, SRT Edition, I mean Horizon Edition. I don't own the Horizon Edition, but I did take the Viper itself, the 2008 Viper SRT, and took it around the track because in my mind they're the same car. If they're not, let me know in the comments down below. Our friend Andy was able to get a magnificent time of 8 minutes and 56 seconds. Me being not as good, got a time of 9:40. It is still extremely fast. This thing takes the corners. And you want to know what? Apart from it being rear-wheel drive and struggling a lot on the sand and at the beginning of the Goliath race, it excels in those high-speed corners. It's actually very relaxing compared to some of the cars on this list, which are stressful because they're going so quick. This one, you can stick it in the corner and not worry about oversteer, not worry about understeer. It'll just follow through, and that's the end of it. And that is why the Viper SRT deserves number 9. At number 8, we have a car that was actually on the top 10 list for the best cornering cars in Forza Horizon 3, and that is the Ultima 720. This thing, oh my god, first off, it has a lot of power. In the low speed corners and on the dirt and on the sand, it is a struggle. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of skills, so if you are someone who's not that good with that, well, don't take this car. But that being said, once you get into those high-speed corners, this car, you can stick it and it will come out the other side. It has unbelievable traction throughout those high-speed corners, and it's a real joy to drive. Also, it doesn't sound like a V12 the whole time, which is always a perk when you have to drive around the long lap of the Goliath. Say hello to number 7. The first Lamborghini, and probably one of the more expensive Lamborghinis at 4.5 million credits in Forza, we have the Lamborghini Veneno. So, a few things after having driven the Veneno. It's really twitchy. This car is four-wheel drive. It will kill it off the launch. Don't worry. You probably will overtake everyone before the beach section is done. But it is extremely bouncy. Anytime where you get air, this car is super light, and it seems to just want to take off, even with all that downforce going. And that's sort of a trend I've noticed with some of the cars that are extremely light, is that whenever there's a bump, they tend to take off. You lose traction. You're losing time because you have to recover whichever angle you took off from. And that's sort of what dragged this car down to its position. It managed to score a time of 8 minutes and 54 seconds when our friend Andy drove it. And when I drove it, well, it was nothing really impressive. Let's just not talk about that one, please. Thank you. At number 6 on this list, we find ourselves greeted by another car, which a lot of people think is the best car in the game. Now, I considered not putting this car on the top 10 list, and if you guys don't understand that this is a joke, well, okay. And that's because last week when I put it on the top 10 worst cars, all you got mad. So I was like, well, I won't put the Centenario again, people will get mad. But obviously, I'm not going to do that because apparently people can't take a joke and Flame Wars happens. That having been said, the Lamborghini Centenario takes the number 6 position, just being slightly faster than its counterpart, the Lamborghini Veneno. Our friend Andy managed to score a time of 8 minutes and 53 seconds versus the 8 minutes 54 of the Veneno, and I myself managed to score a time of 9 minutes and 26 seconds, which for me is absolutely incredible. If you don't know how bad I am at Forza, you should be amazed by that time. That being said, it is limited to the 6th position on this list. Now, if you remember at the beginning of this list, I said to take everything with a grain of salt, and that's because a lot of the cars are separated by only a few seconds based on Andy's times, and for me, it was a little less consistent while they were all under the 10-minute mark and between the 9:20 mark, so they were consistently fast for me, just not consistently in certain positions, and I did try all of them out 3 times each. So if you multiply that by 20 cars, which is the amount of cars I tried, you can see how much time this list took me to make. That being said, at number 5, we found ourselves greeted by the British McLaren P1. And you know what? I wasn't expecting it to be on this list, but when it was, it didn't completely shock me. It's a very good car, fast around the corners, a little bit twitchy. If it steps out, you're going to spin out before you even realize it, but it does have the ability to perform, and it does. Number 4, where we're greeted by the Ford GT Horizon Edition, or in my case, just the Ford GT. Once again, I don't know if there's a real difference between the Horizon GT cars and the regulars, apart from the credit bonuses they may give you. But this car is fast. Holy cow. Now, the build I used was rear-wheel drive, and I feel this worked very well because if you put the Ford GT as a 4-wheel drive build, it will suffer from tremendous understeering. Now, maybe it's just I'm bad at tuning, but from my experience, that is what has happened traditionally. So the tune I used was rear-wheel drive. I struggled a lot at the beginning, and I think that's where it lost a lot of time. That being said, once you get it going, and even in the slow corners, this thing is a monster. It's flat. It's not easy to control per se in the shorter turns, but if you do a bit of throttle control, you'll find yourself scoring a pretty darn good time on the Goliath. At number 3, we have what I think is kind of like the sleeper car for Forza Horizon 3, but it's not really a sleeper because it's sort of a supercar, and that is the 458 Speciale. And let's just be honest here, alright? It's not really a sleeper car, but I never expect it to perform so well, but it's top 10 drag cars, top 10 fastest cars, top 10 fastest cars around the Goliath. This car is really, really, really good. Like, I cannot focus it enough. It's just really good. Focus it. Wow, this car's so good I can't even speak English. That's why it's number 3 on the list. There you go. Now at number 2, we have a car that I had no doubt in my mind was going to make it on this list, and that is the Koenigsegg 121. Let's just put it simple. It's an extremely light car, it has an incredible amount of downforce, it has power like crazy, there's no reason in my mind why this car shouldn't be on this list. The only part where it struggled a bit was at the beginning where there's sand and then beach, and that I can understand. But once you get this car going in the slow corners, in the fast corners, as long as you don't step out in the slow corners, you're non-stop, you're killing the clock, you are absolutely wrecking everything, and everything comes so fast. And it's really weird how much traction you have in the corners, because you put it through anything and it'll just keep going. It'll be like, oh, you want to do that? No problem, I don't mind. And that is why Koenigsegg 1-1 is number 2. At number 1, we have a car that really caught me off guard. Now, this car, I did not expect it to be on this list. And what I mean by not expected is it was a passing thought in my mind. And if it would have made it, it wouldn't have made it this high. And that is the Pagani Zonda Cinque Roadster. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Please murder me in the comments down below for mispronouncing that. And the thing is, this car is incredible. It has incredible traction. You've overtaken everyone by the end of the beach. That's how fast this car is. And then once you get on the road, oh my god. In fact, it has so much traction that it caught me off guard, you know? Sometimes you start steering ahead because you're used to driving other cars at these speeds, and this was one of the last cars I tested, and I was used to non-responsive steering and a bit of understeer. This car just snapped and I would crash on the inside of corners because it steered so well. And so once you get used to that and you can properly take it out full pin, there is no doubt in my mind that if this is not the fastest, it is one of the fastest cars around the Goliath in Forza Horizon 3. Well guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Before you leave, please let me know what cars you would have put or in what order. And please do take everything I said today with a grain of salt, because let's be honest, there's no perfect way to determine which one is the best car, because driver discrepancies, I'm not the best driver, and I know that everyone has their on and off days. So I tried to make this as impartial as possible, but I'm not perfect, so let me know what cars you would pick as well. Any recommendations for next week's top 10 list, top 10 things to look forward to in Need for Speed Payback, let me know in the comments below. This video took me forever to make, 2 days of non-stop Forza racing. So if you did enjoy, please let me know by subscribing, follow me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, all those are in the description down below. My name's been Raymond, I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye!